Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel's Finding Value, and if you guys want to join an awesome community, we're talking top-notch community here, ride the bull market up with us, click subscribe, click the thumbs up button, help me out. And today we're going to go over technical analysis, gold and silver. Gold and silver is a very good sector. I think it's going to do incredibly well over this period, but it is manipulated, I think. And I think they're trying to hold this thing down. And what I think is going to happen is eventually they're going to lose control. And it's going to be like a snap. Hopefully you guys can hear that. Snap higher. More than like a steady move. They'll be like holding, and then it gets revalued. So I'm going to go into a couple of market conditions, go into some of the ETFs, go into some of the individual companies that I watch to give you a little bit better picture of gold and silver and give you my opinions on it. So let's jump in and do some technical analysis here. I started with the 10-year US Treasury, the yields here. So these are yields. An increasing yield usually means that we're in an inflationary period. Declining means that people are running to bonds and they're afraid of something. We've had this scare here, and then we've got yields snapping back higher. I know that the Federal Reserve is in there messing around with bonds. I don't know if they're in the 10-year bond messing around. They probably are doing yield curve control. But this is the 10-year Treasury yield, and we broke this uptrend here to the downside. We've got our pullback, and maybe this pullback's getting ready to be done, and we're going to move on higher with yields. Just because the 10-year yield goes higher doesn't mean that it will affect gold and silver in a negative way. It has been in the most recent times. But if inflation's growing faster than the 10-year yield, you have a greater real negative yield, which is positive for gold and silver and other precious metals. Now here's the dollar. Let me throw something in here. I forgot to throw this in. Now I'm looking at this, and you could say that there's a trend line that flies through here, and that we're trying to, it's holding at the moment, but eventually I think this is going to break. If it breaks to the downside, there isn't much support under this area down here where it could really start to drop out a little bit. So that's what I'm looking for. And with the dollar weakness, I think gold and silver are going to do incredibly well with dollar weakness. But this trend, the way I have it drawn in here, is still holding at the moment. It's holding on for dear life. It's hodling. But I don't think it has a chance on the long term. Here's gold zoomed in. Heading on, we've got this kind of little double bottom. Came up. I'm still looking at this side, looking for the buyers to step in and give us some big, large candlesticks. They just aren't there yet. The buyers haven't stepped in, and we could still see some downward pressure. It still exists. I don't see the buyers stepping in here just forcing it higher. But there's been a lot of tug of war all through here, this day here. I still think it looks more manipulated, but you know what? Leave it at that. Here's silver. You know what? I forgot to put the trend line in here, silver. This guy's probably flirting with its trend line right now. And we want this thing to hold. If it doesn't hold, we could see this thing pull back, a good amount. So it's right there at the trend line. Let's see if it holds. I bet you it will. Here's platinum. Platinum as well. Sorry for not putting in all these trend lines. This is platinum here. It's kind of at its trend line as well. You know what? I like it down here. I think it's a good spot to be looking at it. We've got a shoulder, head, shoulder that's played out and is finished. Right here is not too bad. I think it'll hold. If it doesn't hold, you'll have one heck of a really good buying opportunity if this line doesn't hold. Because if it comes back down here, you're below the high cost producers. It's a very good buying opportunity. But right here, I think it'll hold. But we'll see. Good price. GDX, long-term perspective, we broke this downtrend and we're still above the downtrend. So everything's checking out. Everything's looking good. Here's SILJ. SILJ, we did break down a little bit here. You can see the trend line. We broke to the downside. We got some work ahead of us to break back up through this. There is risk to the downside here in silver as well, because if this is a leader, if the SILJ is a leader, or could be one of the leaders, and we broke to the downside and we see more downward pressure, we could see things fall apart. On the other hand, breaking down here scares people. They want to sell. People step in here, buy this up, and then push it higher. It's called a false breakout. Little difficult to tell right now. I'm more in the false breakout camp, but the line did break, and we have to see what direction this does move. Endeavor Silver broke its uptrend line here to the downside, but we're throwing in a big, large candlestick today. Maybe things are turning around here. Well, we'll monitor it. First Majestic is also broke its little short-term down, or I should say support line here, broke to the downside, and it's finding support all through here. Yamana Gold looks like we broke to the downside. We never kind of broke to the upside of this pattern here. See how it's trying, and we're still in a downtrend. Still in a downtrend line or pattern channel. We've got Franco-Nevada here, which is a royalty company, a large one. This one broke its downtrend here, and it's been moving on up or sideways. So sideways here, but up here, sideways, and we'll see which way it breaks. Now, looking at Sandstorm Gold, and I'm seeing this on some of the companies, they are throwing these bullish engulfing patterns when you look in close. This usually means that it's a bottoming pattern to move higher. And I saw GDX had it, GDXJ has it, Sandstorm has it. So on a short-term basis, we're getting all these mixed signals here. We got SILJ breaking to the downside. On the short term, Sandstorm Gold, GDX, GDXJ, they're all throwing these bullish engulfing. So it looks like it wants to align to try to move higher in the short term. So that one looks pretty good. Now, Ely Gold is looking fantastic. I like the way this one looks. Big up days, small pullback. The large up days, small pullback. That's exactly what you want to see. This one doesn't look bad at all. Wheaton Precious Metals, downtrend break. This one's looking pretty good. Doesn't look bad at all. So some of these, some of them look good, and they're putting in the bullish engulfings. I mean, it looks like they want to try to go on higher. But some of these other ones, they're EXK, AG, SILJ. You've got the uptrend lines, and they're breaking to the downside. Which way is this thing going to go in the short term? This is a tough read. It really is. Silver looks like it's coming on back, but on the other hand, it's putting in bullish engulfings in some of these patterns as well on the very short term, which means it wants to go up. We'll see what happens over these next couple of days. Let's watch it. I think we're at least going to go up on the very short term. Are we going to break the uptrend line? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to re-break it and go back up. We'll have to watch and see what's going on. But short term, I say we might see a little bit of a pop here. That's what I see. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.